I know there is a saying that we shouldn't judge the book by its cover, and I am here to challenge that quote today. Because I just went to a library to pick up some books. The cover of the book is rubbish, and this has prevented me to not get that book. It's because it looks ugly. Would you get a book that has a damaged cover? Be realistic. Would you get it? Of course not. People out there are like, oh, you shouldn't judge the book by its cover. You shouldn't judge it. But we all judge it, okay? We shouldn't lie to ourselves, guys. We always judge the book by its cover. We will always have a first impression if we first meet someone. That's the reality. Why first impression matters. When we meet someone, this is the deciding factor whether if this person is good or bad. That is how quick we are to judge a person by its cover. We will think that this person is a bad influence or a good influence. So just like the example of a book, I didn't get that book. It's because it has damaged parts. It doesn't look good. It's not in good condition. And the cover of it, it's so rubbish. It doesn't look good. If I am meeting someone for the first time and then they don't look presentable, I would automatically assume that something happened. That maybe on his way, on her way, maybe something happened that is very unexpected. Just because on how they look. Looks can be deceiving to the point that even if a person is really handsome, is really beautiful, and then they look presentable, or a person might dress nicely and then once you start talking to them, they don't have that personality. They don't just have the interest on talking to you, and that's disappointing. So it's also better to get to know the person first before judging. A chocolate cake and fruits. Which one would you choose? For me, I would choose the chocolate cake because that is tasty. Why wouldn't you choose the fruit? Because it's not as tasty as the chocolate. Because if you were to go to a library to pick between two books, would you choose the one that has a good cover and then a good story at the back, just like a snippet? Or would you choose the one that is plain and bland and then it's not really interesting? Which one would you choose? Of course, I would choose the tastier book, the one that's very eye-catching. If we always judge the book by its cover, if we always rely things by their first impressions, this can lead to a missed opportunity. Say for an example, you are talking to a stranger. This stranger is just simple clothing, minding their own business, and then suddenly they are talking to you. You are not interested because of how they look. Who knows if this person that you are talking to, this stranger that you are talking to, can immediately change your life by maybe they are a business owner. Maybe they are part of something that can benefit you in the future. This is like the missed opportunity, and this is why sometimes we shouldn't rely on first impressions. Even if we always judge the book by its cover, we can still change our minds if we get more information about them. Let's just say you met someone who has lots of tattoos. You would assume that they are a bad person just because they have tattoos. That will be your first impression of them. Not until you get to know about them, and this will change your mind because you have now informations about them. Who knows, maybe you will be good friends. Let's just say that we have known them for many months or many years. You know, your first impressions of other people, your first impressions of each other, you would just laugh about it. I would always ask people about their first impressions of me. And then some of them will say that I look mean. Some of them may think that I look very quiet. Some of them may think that I am weird because I don't talk to anyone. Some of them may think that I am good looking. We also need to realize that first impression never lasts. First impression matters, but it never lasts. So every time I judge the book by its cover, it never lasts in my brain. And then the more I get to know about them, the more that my first impression will just disappear. It's okay to judge the book by its cover, because that's how it is. Now, if you're gonna lie to me that you don't judge the book by its cover, you're not only lying to me, you're lying to yourself. How do we take advantage of this? How do we take advantage of people who are judging us, who are judging the book by its cover? We need to make sure to be presentable. If you're going on a date, make sure to be presentable. Make sure to have that suit, to have that dress, make sure to have that good makeup, and then good hairstyle, everything. Because this is where you are gonna meet someone who might be potentially the love of your life. Now, I know you're gonna argue with me about, oh, but I'm not really that pretty, I'm not really that handsome. It doesn't matter. As long as they see you as presentable, they will see you as handsome or pretty. There's nothing more that turns a person off if they meet someone on a date and they look shit. They don't look good. Not because that they are ugly. They don't took an effort on how they dress up, and that can be disappointing. Let's just say in a business type, this is where it's really important to dress the part. Because, you know, I've watched Inventing Anna. So they were talking about how Anna Delvey is going to some banks requesting for a loan to her business while dressing up as if she's gonna go to Soho House. This is Wall Street, and this girl is about to borrow $60 million while dressing up revealing clothes. Nobody took her seriously. And this is what Anna Delvey did. She started to dress like a businesswoman. I'm gonna go to a company for them to invest into my company, to invest into my foundation. With me dressing up as revealing. Nobody would take you seriously if you do that. People would always assume that I am smart because I wear glasses. Although I am, of course I am smart. So this is what you call a stereotype. As an Asian myself, people would assume that we eat dogs. But people would assume that because we eat exotic foods. But not, of course, not all of us. And this is where you should be open-minded. You know, stereotypes, just because someone's Asian, they might be good at math. The saying here is, all of us judge the book by its cover. Now, if you're gonna say that I've never judged a book by its cover, I bet you're lying. Of course, if you are going on a date and then one of you are nervous, that doesn't mean that that person who is nervous doesn't like you. Just give them a second chance. Maybe you will never know what happens. Maybe they have an anxiety, you know, meeting strangers, and that is completely okay. First impression matters, but it doesn't last.